I have to tell you, as I was preparing today's show, I said to my staff, there is absolutely no reason this show is the most successful show in the history of cable news at 5 o'clock. Zero reason for that, because everything we do goes against common sense and we break every television rule. Right now, we should be analyzing Osama bin Laden's death and every last bit of it. Last night I was on Judge Napolitano's show on Fox Business, and he was worried that the White House is now using executive orders to kill people. And we are in Libya. Now what about Osama bin Laden? Well, as I was walking up to the studio, I had to decide exactly where I stood on that. And I realized I know where I stand, but you can't tweak this system 5%. The whole system is so far out of line. You need to reset the system. For better or for worse, we've been telling you that the world is about to change. There are the naysayers, and I hope to God that I'm wrong, and I mean that. But nothing is happening by chance, and I believe that those who are the best organized will find themselves in power. But if I ask you to organize, what are you organizing on? I mean, what do you even believe in anymore? Let me ask you this question, and I mean this sincerely. I want you to ask yourself tonight, who are we? Who are we? Who are you? What is it you believe in? I don't know who we are as a nation anymore. I don't recognize us. I don't even know who our friends and allies are anymore. I don't know why we have some of these friends and allies. Saudi Arabia, we know why they're our ally. It was oil. That was it. This was terror. Pakistan, that's it. But they don't have anything in common with us. Please. France? Well, thank you for the Statue of Liberty. That's fantastic. You know, they're moving towards the foe. They're thinking now about getting out of NATO. At least the woman who would, Le Pen, who would beat Sarkozy today, says they're getting out of NATO and make an alliance with Russia for oil. Germany is moving towards Russia. These guys are over. These guys are pissed at us. That's why you're not pumping any more oil. And Pakistan, we've just screwed too. These guys are like the little black sheep. You want to talk about being alone, Tea Party members. Anytime you start feeling down, imagine the little box that Israel is in. Friendless. I mean, I think you get the point here. But why is all of this changing? What is happening? Who are we? And what are we becoming? If you really want to know who we are, you have to start back at the beginning. What separated us from the rest of the world? Was it our land? Was it our car, our house? Or was it something else? What makes us uniquely America? If you're the president, you'll say there is no difference between us and Spain except arrogance, really. It's just the arrogance of, I'm Spanish, whatever. Well, people are people, but there was a new and revolutionary idea here in America. And maybe we need to go back to that idea. So what was the idea? The idea that it was man can rule himself. But how did he do it? Remember, America is great because America is good. What makes us America, really, and unique? Right now, I read a story today that Americans are just killing killers. That was the spin on one of which one was it that said that? One of the news shows said America's just a bunch of thugs killing killers. Osama bin Laden. That's why we need a revolution. No. Don't you see that everything that is making us America is being dismantled? You may have a different list, this is just mine. That we're individuals, that we're pioneers, we're dreamers, we're courageous, charitable, fair-minded, and people of faith. Well, I put this list down yesterday, and I started looking at this list, and I thought to myself, really, are we individuals anymore? Are we individuals? Look what our system is doing. It's all about collective salvation. The people or the workers. It's them. It's us against them. The rich versus poor. The blue collar versus the white collar. Politicians against the people or the people against the politicians. You can't do it on your own is the rallying cry. It's no longer yes I can, it's yes we can, meaning the government now. 1 out of every 7 Americans are on food stamps. That is where you arrive after saying yes we can. The next 2 are pioneers and dreamers. Are we that? We're not pioneers anymore. We're dreamers, but we're daydreamers, not dreamers. We're losing the ability to even think out of the box. You have to be concerned when our teenagers flood the internet to Google, who is Osama bin Laden? I bet they can name all the Real Housewives of New Jersey, but they don't know who Osama bin Laden is. That is why Van Jones and Al Gore have said, you know things that your parents just don't. That's why they're targeting our children, because they know they're empty vessels. Because of regulation, you know that it's now damn near impossible for the Bill Gates of the next generation to create another Microsoft in their basement. You can't do it. Courageous? What does courage even mean anymore? Courage to stand and go to a tea party. That was pretty courageous for a lot of people. Courage to stand if you're in a union and to say, I disagree. How about courage to stand alone? Tell me how full of courage is a country when they are all folding to political correctness. As individuals, we need the intestinal fortitude of Israel. You want to be alone? Be them. They're surrounded, but they're going down swinging. Well, maybe we're charitable. No. Charity is under attack now as well. Charity is, well, that's the IRS. How about fair-minded? Are we fair-minded? No, not anymore. Americans aren't fair-minded. They're racists. That's why we have to have this institution over here for social justice, because they're not fair-minded as individuals. You got to have some NGO or special interest group to provide that, so we treat each other right. Are we people of faith? Well, we might be, but do we actually practice it? Atheists and political correctness and sloppy people of faith. Social justice. By the way, when I say atheist, I don't have anything wrong with an atheist. It's the militant atheist, or the militant Muslims, or the militant Catholics, or Mormons, or militant anything. My way or the highway. That is not America. You know the best way to teach people about your faith, or absence of? Live it. People will see that you're happy and want to know what it is that makes that guy so happy and strong. I believe individuals will find their own way, or they will not. But I do know this. I can't save you, nor can anyone else. You have to choose to find the truth. You have to choose to apply it. You have to choose to be who you are meant to be, not who you've allowed yourself to become. And not be part of a stagnant collective sitting around waiting for some savior to save you, some government official to walk in and do it for you. So, if you're going to change things, you have to know who you are. It's time we decide. More in a second. To rebuild something, you have to figure out who you were in the first place. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but we're living in a bullying society now. If the government doesn't get its way, the response is get that CEO fired. They're now going after a CEO of a major drug company. He's a conservative. He's outspoken. They've threatened him before during the healthcare thing, and now they're threatening the board. They say, you get rid of him or we'll do no business with you. And for a drug company, the government saying they're not going to do business with the drug company, that's death. As Andy Stern said, we watched how they voted. We know where they live. And they will use the power of, the persuasion of power. Is this who we've become? How much more do you take? Is this really the land of the free and the home of the brave? The 5th most searched question on Google on Sunday was, who is bin Laden? Nearly 1 in 5 searches for Osama bin Laden were by teenagers. 25% of all searches overall for Osama bin Laden came from those under 24. They didn't even know. How are we going to expect them to defend freedom? Do they even remember what real freedom is? I don't. I don't even know if I've ever had it in my lifetime, but I had it closer. September 10th, 2001. Do you remember what it was like to go into an airport and not have the lines of security and take off the belt to be able to go to the ticket counter and to the gate? Do you remember what that was like? Do you remember what real freedom was like when we were kids? When our parents would let us play outside. We'd get up at the crack of dawn on a Saturday, and we'd race to do our chores. We're like, come on, Mom. She's like, finish your chores first. And then you'd finally finish, and you'd be gone. And the screen door would slap against the front of the house, and all you'd hear is her voice saying, be home in time for dinner. Freedom for parents to do that? We don't have any thought that we're ever going back to that again. We don't have any thought that we could ever be in an airport again without those long lines. Come on. We have no thought that we're going to be able to go back to the way things were at some time where we were decent. So I ask you, well, who are we? Are individuals and pioneers and dreamers and people of courage? Is that what they want? Charitable people, fair-minded people, people of faith in God, is that where you're headed? Isn't it time we square our shoulders and make sure first that we are those things in our own personal life? So you have to do that first, and then the next step is define the idea. What are we moving towards? Don't tell me that we're moving towards 1776. Don't tell me that we're headed towards 1791. We want some of the ideas of 1791. We want those, a restoration of those ideas, but we want something more than that. The ideas of 1791, along with the understanding and the vision of 2091. That's what we must work together to build. And I again ask you to join me on a personal journey over the next few months. This is a journey like any marathon or any mountain climb. You have to get into shape first. If you're not a member of a group, join one. If you haven't taken the 40-day, 40-night challenge, take it. If you haven't read a book, read one. The journey for America is about to end or begin. A bit about personal courage. I want to tell you about a guy that is becoming a friend of mine, Pastor John Hagee. He started a group called Christians United for Israel 30 years ago. This is courage. He decided to host a night to honor Israel, bringing Christians and Jewish communities together in San Antonio, Texas. And during the event, there was a bomb threat. All of the Christians, he said, made a beeline to the front door. But the Jews stayed put. Apparently, they were used to it. He had only planned on doing it once, but that night he told his wife, we're going to do this next year and the year after and the year after that until they get the message. We're not going to sit down. And that's what they did. That's courage. I am proud to say that he hasn't sat down, and I am beginning to stand up. I'm going to stand next to Pastor Hagee. I will be speaking at the event this year in Washington, D.C. in July. Go to glennbeck.com for all the details. And another story of courage, Bonhoeffer. I've talked about this book on the show, Dietrich Bonhoeffer. It was a book written by a friend of mine, Eric Metaxas. This book changed my life. But congratulations to Eric Metaxas. It just won the Christian Book of the Year. It's time to change your life. Mike Tyson, when he goes into the ring without getting into shape, he fails. Remember Buster Douglas, Tokyo 1990? Get into shape.
0365.
On Friday, I'm going to introduce you some teachers who are frustrated and are willing to speak out. It's a show you do not want to miss. Courage. From New York, good night, America.